Well, let's take a look at what's grabbing the headlines here in France. Alison Sargent is here for the French Press Review. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Belle.
And papers still, unsurprisingly, talking about that gas attack in Syria. It's on the front page of Libération.
That's right. There's a very powerful picture on their front page. It's actually, some people might find it a little bit shocking. We see a group of children that was killed in Tuesday's attack. Their headline is Les Enfants d'Assad, Children of Assad. The way these children are sort of piled up could raise some questions, maybe even about whether this photo was choreographed, but it is a real photo. It's a still shot that was taken from a video posted by the Idlib Media Center. Now, Libération is really trying to get people to sit up and pay attention with this. Inside the paper, they're wondering about the possibility of a sursaut diplomatique, a diplomatic jolt or awakening. They say it all depends really on the Trump administration, whose position remains unclear after Trump seemed to suggest yesterday that he could take action on the ground. France's pro-business paper, L'Opinion, says that the attack destroys the possibility of a diplomatic solution. On their front page today, they say the attack traps Putin, making it harder for Russia to work with the US and the rest of the international community. Now, there's also a stark cartoon on their front page. You can see the two options for children in Syria, staying or leaving, and both of those are of course fatal, and it's illustrated by that iconic image of Alan Kurdi, who was the little boy who drowned trying to reach Europe several years ago.
We're going to come back to that Syrian gas attack in the International Press Review. But for now, let's turn our attention to the presidential election campaign. Le Figaro is focusing on how it's all playing out on social media.
Yeah, the right-wing paper is looking at the digital strategies of the various campaigns. They say social networks are at the heart of the battle for the presidency. We read that they might not be the be-all and end-all, but using social media can give a huge boost, especially to candidates like Marine Le Pen and Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who might be getting less attention from the mainstream media. Now, inside the paper, they chart out the presence of the 5 top candidates on social media. You can see Marine Le Pen is at the top. She has the most fans on Facebook and the most followers on Twitter. She's getting the most buzz. François Fillon is up there too, possibly due to scandal, so not all buzz is good buzz. And Benoît Hamon might be maybe the least present so far, but he has the most activity on Instagram, so to each his own.
And some of the papers are focusing on environmental concerns as well.
They are. Today, France's national electric company, EDF, is going to vote on whether or not to close France's oldest nuclear power plant, Fessenheim. It's all the way in the east of France. And that has been, whether or not to shut it down has been a debate for a long time. It also came up a lot in the 2012 presidential election. 20 Minutes calls it an electric debate on nuclear energy. So a nice pun in their headline there. And this could put in environmental concerns into the spotlight, an issue that, according to France's communist paper, Humanité, has been taking a back seat. They say that the environment is a huge concern for people here in France, but it hasn't really found its place in the campaign so far.
Well, of course, if you're talking about environmental concerns and campaigns, what better to talk about, of course, than the campaign posters that are just printed out and printed out.
That's true. You see them everywhere right now in Paris.
No respect for trees.
Yeah, not at all. They're all over the sides of all the buildings. And Le Parisien, aujourd'hui en France, says that just because you're a candidate doesn't mean you have to pollute our city. So they're quite critical of these campaign posters. They report that Toulouse, one city in the south, is actually fining parties for putting up these posters in illegal places. Every morning, a team goes around taking them down, and the offending party, gets fined 12 euros per illegal poster.
Really? That is quite a lot. And this last story comes now from a paper that we don't look at very often here in the Press Review. It's a paper for teenagers.
That's right. It's called Lectu. It's for teens ages 14 and up. And their cover story today is on a teacher who won this year's Global Teacher Prize. Their headline says, "Here is the best teacher in the world." That teacher's name is Maggie McDonnell. She works in one of the most remote places in the world, actually. That's the most northern part of Quebec, a place called Nunavik. And they report that there are really very difficult conditions of life here for the Inuit community. 90% of the people who live there are in the Inuit community. There's a lot of poverty, drugs, and a very high suicide rate. And also very few children end up getting their high school diploma there. So it's a place that could really use good teachers.
And thankfully it has found that good teacher. Alison, thank you very much for the whiz through the French papers there.